You come to the edge of a wide, deep river. On the far side is food, or safety, or family. Between you and it is water over your head. Unlike almost every other animal, you would not automatically know what to do. A dog thrown into that river swims instantly. A newborn horse can paddle across a stream. Even a cat, which hates it, knows the motions. But a human being who has never been taught? We are one of the only creatures on Earth that has to actually learn how not to drown. So how did your ancestors ever figure it out? Now you might be thinking of one obvious objection, but babies can swim. You've seen the videos, a tiny infant underwater, calm, and this is where a dangerous myth begins. So let's be very careful here. Newborns do have a set of reflexes in water. They'll hold their breath, they'll make little paddling movements, but that is not swimming. It doesn't keep them afloat. It can't save them. And here's the crucial part. That reflex fades within a few months and is gone. Let me say this plainly because it matters. That baby reflex does not make an infant safe in water, not even close. A small child near water always needs an adult, within arm's reach. There is no such thing as a baby who can swim. So put the myth aside and look at the real puzzle. Why are we so different from the animals? Drop almost any four-legged mammal into water, a dog, a horse, an elephant, even a cow, and its body just runs the right program. The same legs that walk simply keep moving, and it swims. But your brain doesn't come with that program installed. Walking upright changed how our bodies move. Our motion doesn't translate to water, so a human has to assemble the skill of swimming from scratch. It has to be practiced until strange, unnatural movements finally begin to feel like second nature. It's much more like learning to ride a bike than like learning to breathe. Which brings us to the real question. With no pools and no swimming teachers, how did your ancestors learn at all? The answer is simple and a little brutal. They learned because they had to. A river blocked the path to new hunting grounds. Shellfish and fish in the shallows were food worth getting. For a people living by the coast, the sea was not a barrier. It was a pantry, a flood, a predator, an enemy. Sometimes the only escape was through the water. Need was the first teacher. The water was dangerous, but staying out of it could be more dangerous still. But nobody invents swimming alone in a panic. It was learned the way everything important was learned, by watching and copying. A child watched the adults. They started in the safe shallows where they could stand. They copied the movements. They edged slowly toward the deep. And crucially, the skill was passed down. From parent to child, generation after generation. Which means swimming is not in your genes, it's in your culture. A group living beside water learned to swim as surely as they learned to speak. A group deep inland, far from any river, might never learn at all. Swimming isn't a human trait, it's a human tradition. And we can actually see how old that tradition is. Deep in the Sahara Desert, in a place that is now nothing but sand and stone, there is a cave wall covered in paintings. And the paintings show tiny human figures clearly swimming. It's called the Cave of Swimmers. Those images are many thousands of years old. They were spotted by an explorer crossing the desert who could barely believe what he was seeing. Back then, that desert was green, dotted with lakes. The ancient Egyptians left drawings of swimmers, too. So did the Assyrians, who even show soldiers crossing rivers on inflated animal skin floats. Humans have been swimming and teaching swimming for a very, very long time. But now for the truly astonishing part. Because in some places, the water didn't just teach humans, it began to change them. In Southeast Asia, there are people known as the Bajau, the sea nomads. For centuries, they have lived their lives largely on and in the ocean. They free dive to astonishing depths, on a single breath, to hunt. Some can stay underwater for minutes at a time. And in 2018, scientists discovered something remarkable about their bodies. The Bajau have evolved larger spleens. Your spleen acts as a reservoir of oxygen-rich blood. A bigger one releases more oxygen when you dive, letting you hold your breath longer. This is natural selection, happening in humans driven by the sea. It is one of the clearest examples we have of human evolution still quietly at work today. But here's the vital detail. Even the Bajau are not born knowing how to swim. Their children still have to learn it. From their elders, like everyone else. Their genes gave them an advantage, not a shortcut. And that is the perfect picture of what we are. Instinct opens a door, but culture is what walks through it. So if humans have been swimming for so long, one puzzle remains. Why are so many people today afraid of deep water? Why can so many adults still not swim at all? The answer goes right back to the start. There was never a swimming instinct to inherit in the first place, and that fear of deep water isn't a flaw. It may be a very old kind of wisdom. It is the same instinct that makes your stomach drop at the top of a cliff, because water is one of the easiest places for a human to die. A little caution at the water's edge kept your ancestors alive. Your fear of the deep isn't weakness, it's respect, written into you. And this is why, even today, we still have to teach every single child to swim. It has never, ever come for free. Drowning remains one of the leading causes of accidental death in the world, especially for children. And that is the whole point, because swimming is a learned skill. Learning it safely and with supervision is one of the most valuable things a person can do. The ancient lesson and the modern one are exactly the same. So come back to that riverbank and the deep water ahead. Your ancestors standing there had no instinct to fall back on. What they had was something better, the ability to learn and the ability to teach. They watched, they copied, they practiced, and they passed it on. Every child taking their first strokes today is continuing a chain of teaching that stretches back thousands of years. You were not born to swim. You learned to swim. The river never changed. What changed was us, learning together how to cross it. And somehow that is the more remarkable thing.